Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We are talking about an interesting topic, like always, um, ignorance, enlightenment, and the Panch Klesh. We spoke about those five orchestra men which are making us dance to their tunes. We spoke about that yesterday. We'll continue to build on that, starting with our Soul Soup segment. So it's 9 o'clock. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we will get underway with our opening prayers. We share that. You able to see my screen?
Not yet full screen, but yes.
Okay. Now you should be able
Yes.
to see. All right. So let's get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So Radhe Radhe, morning, good evening, everyone. So let's get started with today's topic. Yes, thanks. Right. I need to realign the slides again. So let's get started with our Soul Soup segment. So as part of this segment, we are talking about in the science of mind management. So we're talking about these two kids and the mother. And the mother is desire, and the two kids are anger and greed. Now, if somebody gets angry, you go back, there is a desire which is getting obstructed, because of which somebody gets angry. And if somebody is getting, having greed, of course, there's a desire around it as well, right? So this is what we've been talking about. And our scriptures have singled out desire as one of the main afflictions of human minds, which causes other problems as well, right? So desire is something that we need to be very wary about. Now, what happens with the desire? You go and fulfill the desire. Okay, your heart says this thing is going to give me happiness. Go ahead and fulfill it. So what scripture says, if you fulfill desire, yes, further away from bliss and peace that you're looking for. A very simple principle. So they say that if you fulfill your desire, you will go further away from that bliss, peace, happiness that you are seeking. So, and the other possibilities, no. So you train your mind that, all right, this desire is not going to take me close to happiness. And what happens? Inner bliss of soul. Look at how soul is smiling. You see that? This is what you get closer to. And scripture says that Kathopanishad says, Yada sarve pramuchyante kama yesya hridi shita. Basically, what it says is that when one eliminates all selfish desires from the heart, then materially fettered Jivatma soul, which is us, attains freedom from birth and death and becomes godlike in virtue. So if you eliminate desires, actually you become godlike in virtue. And the godlike nature of the soul that is devoid of yearning is also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. What it says is that person who eradicates wants and becomes situated in a state of contentment becomes like God. It becomes like God. This is a virtue that God has. Okay. Now, even in Navada Bhakti, Santosh or contentment is highly glorified. It's a virtue which is great asset on the path of spirituality. And when we deny our mind this material bliss or the yearnings that our mind cooks up from time to time for one thing, and then it like a butterfly, it flits over from one thing to another, to another, to another. When we start denying it with a proper understanding, of course, and if you can give it a better taste of God itself, or Nam Roop Kund Leela Dham of God, then you start taking, inching towards the bliss or the happiness or the peace that the soul has always been seeking. Bhagavad Gita corroborates it further. 2.71 says that person who gives up the material desires, not the spiritual desires, lives free from a sense of greed, proprietorship, and egoism, attains perfect peace. And perfect peace is what we all are looking for. So this is the formula. It seems counterintuitive. We think that the desire that has come up, if we are going to fulfill it, then we will get closer to happiness. But contrary to that, we go further and further away from happiness. And desires have been compared to like an itch. Right? When we have an itch, it creates an irresistible urge to scratch it. But scratching does not solve the problem. There's a relief, there is a temporary relief for a while, and then that desire to scratch it returns with greater force. And if you simply tolerate the itch for some time, I don't know if somebody has tried to do that. I've tried it a couple of times, then it goes away. Okay, urge also dies down slowly. So that's the way to go. Now let's move to our Bhagavad Gita shloka that we have been talking about and we recited, and then we will quickly go through um, the topic of our discussion today on this one. So I'll recite it and we'll take three hands. ज्ञानेन तु तद्ज्ञानम् येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज् ज्ञानम् प्रकाश्यति तत्परम्. Okay, let's take three.
Okay, we have three of them. Ramyaji, go ahead, please.
Okay, come. ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम् येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज् ज्ञानं प्रकाश्यति तत्परम्. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Shiramya. Radhe Radhe. Let's take.
Go ahead, Sandhyaji. Sorry.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. ज्ञानेन तु तद् अज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज् ज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. Let's take maybe one more hand.
Shyamji, go ahead, please.
Right, Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
ज्ञानेन तु तज्ज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाश्यति तत्परम्. Radhe Radhe.
Nice. Thank you. Maybe one more hand we can take real quick.
Okay, let me give it to Riyaji. Go ahead, Riyaji.
Radhe Radhe.
Mm.
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
Thank you.
Thank
Really.
you.
Okay, I see. All right, Pragiji, go ahead. You've raised a hand after a while, so go ahead real quick, and we'll get started.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
ज्ञानेन तु तज्ज्ञानं येषां नाशित आत्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
Very nice. Thank you. So
Thank
let's
you,
get started. So in this shloka, Lord is saying, but for those whose ignorance is destroyed by divine knowledge, the supreme entity is revealed just as the sun illumines everything when it rises. So let's get started. Yesterday we spoke about these five gentlemen who are playing a band and we are dancing to their tune. So these are avidya, ignorance, where the misconception of our true reality and all the designation and the temporary stuff that we think is going to be permanent. So the false projection of our own self, that is the biggest problem where we think of ourselves as a body and start spending rest of our life in pursuit of bodily happiness. And this gives birth to the other afflictions, which is I-amness, asmita, where our self-image, we relate ourselves to whether I'm poor, rich, whichever nationality, designation, name, all that stuff. And then the rag dvesh also stems from that, where we hanker for certain things and we get attached to certain things as well. So this is all born out of ignorance, because we forget that our true identity is that of a soul, and thinking ourselves as this body and the mind, whatever our mind is telling, go for it, this will give me happiness, go for this. This is what people world want out of me. So whatever mind is telling us, we start thinking it as a reality and identifying it with our basically we think that those things will actually give us happiness. So Ragdvesh, and then the last but not least, the Abhinivesh, the will to live, is the deepest and the most universal klesha, where we want to live and we think that our identity is going to cease when we die or shed this cross body. So all these pancha kleshas is all of us are suffering from, and it's all born from that avidya, the fundamental mistake that we have done, where we have, it's like 2 + 2 = 5, and now you start approaching the life with an understanding that I am this body. Then when you'll go out, everything will be related to what your body needs, what your mind is telling you to do, and what your intellect is telling you is the right thing to do, right? So that reverses this whole paradigm around what we should truly be seeking from a standpoint of our soul, which is our true identity. Now let's move on. So you see here in the night sky, we have a big moon, and then so many countless stars are there, right? By the way, why do we have these stars? I always used to wonder. That is, these are stars are definitely not for the decoration. Okay, God has created these stars are all the different planets and other the celestial creations that God has, which decorate the sky at night anyways. But the point here is, even these countless number of stars and moon, they are not able to eradicate the darkness engulfing, that the night as we see. So removing of it is sun's power in removing the darkness of night. If instead, if you have the sun that comes, it will eradicate the darkness completely. So the combined light of moon and visible stars in a cloudless sky, night does not go. Night, the power, the darkness is exerted or imposed by night, despite the presence of moon and the stars. But the moment sun comes, now you will see how the sun will come, right? Let the sun come. See, the sun is going to come. The darkness is gone. Otherwise, the darkness will continue. No matter how many stars and moon, you continue to have that, right? Now, same way, when light of God's knowledge has a similar effect in dispelling the darkness of ignorance that we are all suffering from. Once that illumination starts happening, it is irreversible, right? Like if you think about sun, once the sun comes, darkness cannot remain. It has no power over this light. So the same way, like now we are contemplating on this divine knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita, which is a distillation of all the scriptures for us. And if a tidbit of knowledge, with God's grace, your intellect is illumined with that, that becomes a permanent asset, right? It is illumined forever. It's not like again it will get engulfed with darkness. Okay, that aspect is taken care, because Krishna himself says that he's going to preserve that knowledge for you in lifetime after lifetime. So this is the power of knowledge, which can dispel the ignorance, and ignorance is synonymous with darkness as well. So let's look at it another way. So darkness is responsible for creating illusions. In the darkness of the cinema hall, the light falling on the screen creates. Here you see these people. What's going on here? Look at it as if they're living a life here. Everything is happening to them. Their emotions, everything is happening to them. Right? So this is basically the reality of our life as well. We are also watching a movie called Life and participating in it engaged in this and engrossed in it that we think it is truly happening to us. And it's only when what happens during intermission, you see, there's a bit of a difference. Now people have regained a bit of a consciousness. They know what's going on, and they'll stand up, get popcorn, so reality sinks in that it's, after all, it's just a movie. So similarly, the darkness is ignorance, where we are participating in this drama of life, thinking it to be very real, that is happening to us. But if we dissociate ourselves with our witness consciousness, then we get into that, the on the right hand side, where we are letting the light come in and seeing things as they are, not seeing things as they seem. Okay, so there's a difference between seeing things as they seem and seeing things as they are. So this is a very powerful analogy if you think about it, right? Like in the movie hall, don't we cry, shed tears, we laugh and feel the emotions of whatever is happening on the screen? People, they keep on crying and laughing, and everything is happening. So you start engaging in that drama vicariously, but something similar happening in our life as well. And the moment the torch, the guy with the light comes, or there's an intermission, all of a sudden you're able to see things as they are, and you get out of that drama immediately. And that's how it happens. So this example is exactly about the illusion that is created about our life. The drama, that this is more of an illusion that is created around us, that your mind is creating. Of course, it is happening, but then you are not obligated to participate in it. You can dissociate yourself from it. You have that power. But if you choose to participate, then you keep on experiencing it vicariously. Yes, Shyamji, you wanted to say something or ask something? Or you wanted to check which movie are these people watching? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. Which movie is this, by the way? And one सवाल है बड़ा बेवकूफ वाला, but I do not know. Why
Hmm.
can't there be sun always? Why do we have to have night?
Why
Why
do we?
can't we have to have night? Why can't be there light always?
Yeah, Norway has, I think,
No.
Norway or one of the countries, it has sun for 6 months. It's very troublesome to sleep when sun is there, right? So night is good actually to,
Then, but
which
why
one?
do we need darkness? Why can't it be always be
See,
lit
this world
around
is
us?
created in duality by God, because He's a master architect. There must be a reason for that. He has created day, then He has created night. He has created winter, then He has created cold. So He has created rose, even rose comes with thorns. So the duality is the very nature of this world, just to tell us that yin yang, learn to handle that with equanimity. So maybe he has created it that way. Right now, if night was not there, then owls will not be able to see at all, right? Forever they will be blind, right? So owls can see in night. So it's a variety, and the duality God has created for a purpose as well. So um, we can question that to God. Okay, when we become God realized, there are certain things we can
I think
ask
there's a
him.
reason for it. So you mean to say everything is planned? Nothing is
Everything is, it's a perfect design. He's a cosmic
obviously
architect.
it is designed perfectly, but it's a thought. I do not know. But ठीक
Okay.
है. Yeah.
Shashiji is
Thank
going
you so
to
much.
say why night is created. Yes, Shashiji, can you please?
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, what I heard from Maharajji, he said ki in this material world, having a good sleep is the most blessing thing.
Mhm.
So if we won't have night, we will not, God created the night so we can rest and
Mhm.
rejuvenate ourselves and start a new day.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
because he is looking our welfare.
Yeah.
So whatever he did, it's for our own good.
Mm.
So we cannot use our buddhi, why he does this, why he didn't. So, the sukh, the real sukh, what we get, the happiness and the contentment, that is in the deep sleep. That even billionaire starves for that, and he doesn't get it.
True, very true. That's true. That is one of the real sukh. I mean, that without night, if you don't get night, usually helps with the sleep as well. Now you will say, why did he make eyes which close, right? Let our eyes be open always. So there are too many questions we can pose like that. But the point is, he had something in mind, and night definitely aids our sleep, and that repairs our body and gives us one of the few blisses in this material world. Now I am able to create that bliss even in afternoons. That's a different thing, but we are supposed to sleep during nights only, and not, especially not during office meetings and stuff like that. It is tamasic pravritti. So anyways, now let's move on. Oh my God, there's just a lot of darkness here. So what happens? Darkness is, it's monolithic, right? It's darkness is darkness. It's one thing. There's absolutely nothing here, right? Now, what happens? Now darkness is removed. You see people are there. So ignorance is darkness. So darkness, when darkness is there, you're not able to differentiate even what is going on. It's just one thing, right? You don't even know now. Let's say these people are walking and this darkness continues. They're walking into some kind of a dark forest where there is absolutely no, not forest, but a hallway, I should say. Then it is all one thing, right, for them. But only when this darkness is shed, right? You see there are three different things leading to the door outside. Otherwise, everything, they could step on this sharp object, they could step on a snake, and or they could find or navigate their way through the door. So light is needed and ignorance is not bliss. So darkness is equated to ignorance in our scriptures. And light is knowledge. Only when it is illumined, we can see things as they are, not as they seem. And when it is dark, so, when it is dark, that is essentially the situation we are in right now in our lives. We are simply leading it, not knowing where we are going, what we should be doing, and everything is second guessing, right, around it. When we think of ourselves as a body, tons of people will tell us what you should be doing, what is the purpose of life, and what you should be doing at this stage in life, and this is how you should be. All that stuff will be there, right? It's only through scriptural knowledge and divine knowledge we understand where, how and where we should be walking and what we should be doing without second guessing ourselves. So the light, divine light, or the illumination of our intellect in the right manner is very, very important. Otherwise, this life is a very tricky and a treacherous place. This world is a very treacherous place to live where you will be second guessing. And then what will happen? Anxiety, anxiousness, uncertainties, what to do, why to do, whether it is the right thing to do. All that stuff will continue to cripple you. Okay, there's no escape from that at all. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So, like in this example, isn't it about contrast as well? Like we need a difference. Like as if it was all white, then also nothing would have been, I mean, one couldn't have distinguished or navigated through the situations.
See, the thing that we are trying to bring about here is when there is darkness, you cannot see the things as they are, right? Then for you, your probability of erring and making wrong decisions becomes pretty heavy. That's the only concept that is. But when the light comes, you are able to see the things, then you can make a judgmental call. If these guys are walking and they purposefully or intentionally want to put their foot on snake on this sharp object, then that's their decision. But they're making an informed decision through their choice. But in darkness, they will not even know, right? So that's the whole idea. So when we lead our life based on our own fundas and concepts, that is essentially like walking in the dark without that aid of that proper knowledge is essentially what we are trying to say. So the Lord is saying, Krishna is saying that people who are able to, through this knowledge, they can cut us under this Maya. So you need to get past this darkness of ignorance sooner or later. And reading scripture or subscribing to divine knowledge is a great step forward in that direction. Light is not going to come immediately like sun's light come, but it will start incrementally getting added or mixed in our life, and then soon it will become all clear in the due course. So this is how the process will unfold. Okay, the next slide will throw more light on this topic of light. Okay, so in the darkness of ignorance, we identify ourselves with the body and consider ourselves to be the doers and enjoyers of our actions. Okay, this is who we are. We're considering we've gotten it all wrong. We are the doers, we are the body, and we are the enjoyers of our action because we want to enjoy every action that we perform. Then what happens is, with the light of God's knowledge begins shining brightly. How will light of God come? Now we'll see that process as well. Then illusion beats a hasty retreat. Then the soul wakes up to its true spiritual identity even while it lives in the city of nine gates. So right now, we are thinking of ourselves as the doer and enjoyers of our action, and we are leading that kind of a life in the city of nine gates that we spoke about. Now what happens is God's knowledge, right? How will God's knowledge come? God has given his knowledge through in Vedas. He manifested the Vedas. When he did this creation, he created this manual as well. But this knowledge, God is not going to come and give this knowledge to you, right? This knowledge will get passed on to us, through a guru. When we find a guru and we become Sharanagat to a guru, we establish that relationship, this knowledge will get passed on to us. And that's where the light starts entering our life. And when the light starts entering our life, our soul starts manifesting its true nature as well. Now, soul will say, now I got something that I was always craving for. When you get some divine knowledge, when you understand some concept by God's grace, don't you get some kind of a satisfaction that, something has happened? This happens because it's like all along we have been, it's like a parrot in a cage. So all along we have been tending to the cage, polishing it up and, just keeping it clean and stuff like that. But that does not serve the parrot. And the moment you give parrot its food, parrot will say, parrot will express its happiness. Same way, the cage you can equate to our body. So when we are giving things to our body, it will say, I'm getting some kind of a pleasure, maybe a bit of a thrill. You'll get thrill, but it will not fulfill. But the moment you start giving it the soul its true food, and divine knowledge is its food, true food, your soul will say, thank you very much. And that is something you can intuitively feel. You'll say, something has happened. So that is exactly what happens. And that is the knowledge that Lord Krishna is talking about. And when that knowledge enters you, and it becomes realization from within, that aspect of darkness is removed forever, permanently removed. Okay, this is essentially how it goes. It will take time. It's not like sun's light will come and eventually everything will, the darkness will give away. We have tons and tons of ignorance and darkness embedded in our, basically that covering our soul. So layer by layer by layer, it will get eradicated. This is how the process unfolds. Now moving on, and then what happens? Soul realizes its infinite potential all the way up to God realization. Not only materially, when your soul starts shining forth because the layers of ignorance are getting removed, then it leads it to infinite potential. Even in material world, we have infinite potential. Anything that we put our mind to, we can achieve unbelievable things in one life. You can see so many examples around, right? Everybody has 24 hours in the day. And some people end up accomplishing so much as if they have 50 hours in a day. And even otherwise, some people, you'll see they have done so many things in their life in one lifetime. You wonder how do they end up achieving it. But the point is that, like being fragmental parts of God, our soul has an infinite potential. And this infinite potential, when it starts manifesting, when you start removing these layers of ignorance, and then this infinite potential leads us to the state of God realization as well, right? That's the whole idea, where we keep on marching forward, we keep on progressing, and finally realize our true potential and the true inheritance, which is bhakti and God realization, realizing God itself. But how does this process unfold? We have to let the divine knowledge sink in. It will come through Guru, but we have to keep on making efforts, right? Our efforts cannot be undermined. It's not going to be given to us on a platter, right? You are sleeping and somebody is not going to force feed you, right? So we have to make an effort, and then with God and Guru's grace, this knowledge starts becoming realization. The ignorance starts going away, and the true nature of our soul, it starts shining forth or manifesting itself. Okay, so this is where we are. We are saying, I'm a body. This is where we are. And then I am a soul. This vessel is a little empty right now, right? I'm a body is like I'm a body. Everything is related to body, mind, intellect only, right? This is typically where most of the people are. Now let's introduce the time and the Karam Yoga part of it. Karam Yoga, where we bring God into our consciousness, we understand the divine knowledge, and we start practicing it, right? So what happens? So you progress a little bit in Karam Yoga, you see, you progress a little bit. So what will happen? The concept that I am a body, gradually the soul thing will start filling up. Now you see what will happen. So you keep on progressing, the body part starts waning, the soul starts shining forth, and finally, you see, you complete this journey and you are a soul then. Completely, you're a soul. Body has completely gone. Along the path, of course, you need Guru's grace. So this is how the journey is meant to unfold. And the divine knowledge that we're talking about, as you keep on progressing Karam Yoga, your intellectual abilities will keep on getting enhanced, and the divine knowledge will keep on illuminating it more and more and more until the complete ignorance is dispelled. So this is how the process is supposed to manifest, and this is the significance of practicing Karam Yoga in our day-to-day lives. With God and Guru's grace, when we start bringing in God consciousness, when we start aligning to the spiritual principles, then this knowledge starts becoming a realization, and then the understanding or the realization that I am a soul and not this body will keep on getting augmented as well in our head and intellect. Okay, with that, I'll take a quick pause. Tomorrow, by the way, we will talk more about what is true knowledge. We're talking about knowledge. Knowledge is what is going to illumine our intellect. What is that true knowledge that we need to be aligning to or subscribing to? And what are some of the symptoms of that true knowledge? And how would you know that the knowledge that I'm listening to or trying to practice is true knowledge or not? So we will talk about that as well. So with that said, I'll take a quick pause, and any questions around what we have spoken about so far?
Yeah, there is a question in the chat. What is the difference between mind and the intellect, sir? How do I know whether it's being decided by the mind or the intellect?
Okay, no, that's a good question. So mind and intellect. So our scriptures say that our antakaran, okay, I'll not get into antakaran, I'll confuse you further. So man, buddhi, chit, ahankar, okay, these are the four things that our scriptures talk about, which comprise our antakaran, by the way. Nevertheless, man and buddhi are interchangeably used in our scriptures. So man is the mind and buddhi is the intellect. Now, let me give you an example around it. Whoever is asked it, can you come on audio? I mean, we can talk about that, but let me regardless. So see, man is the one which makes a desire. Desire means I want to do this, I want to eat this, I want to sleep, I want to take it easy. Buddhi is the one which sanctions it. Sanctions it means it gives a decision, it's okay or it's not okay. Like, for example, your man might be saying, today is Monday, I want to take it easy and I want to sleep. But your intellect will say, no, it's Monday morning, 9 o'clock, you have a meeting, your boss will be waiting for you, and it will not be a good start to the day if you don't make it in time. So, although your man is telling you to take it easy, so man goes for pleasure, buddhi typically gives a decision whether to go for that pleasure or not. So buddhi is a subtle thing. It's a governor of your man. Intellect is the governor of your mind. The problem is we don't use it often enough. Like, for example, people say I have a hard time focusing, right? Some parents complain that their kid has a hard time focusing. But think of the same kid or the student who has a hard time focusing throughout the year, and that person is sitting inside for an exam for 2 hours or 3 hours, even though there might be a lot of traffic going around by the window side that he or she is sitting. They are not getting distracted. They are very focused on the task at hand because they know that these 2 or 3 hours are make or break for them, from failing or passing this particular grade, whatever they are in. So our buddhi is there. It gives you a decision, and it's a very subtle thing. Immediately it happens, and it's very smart. Buddhi just knows what to do, what is the right thing to do, but we don't use it often enough. And Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has called it as Buddhi Yoga. The science of work is Buddhi Yoga as well, where how where your mind should be when you are working around it. So intellect is the governing authority of your mind, or the one which sanctions whether your mind should do it or not. So although both are interchangeably used, but they are slightly different in the sense that one makes a desire and other sanctions it whether to go for that desire or not. Did I answer your question? If not, then I have capacity to confuse you further. Okay, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Yes, Shyamji.
Even that means Buddhi is more smarter than Man. Is that so?
Of
Buddhi has
course.
more, much
Yes.
more strength than Man. Man
As
might be.
no, not necessarily, as long as buddhi has been equipped with right knowledge, sure. Otherwise, buddhi could be leading you astray. Buddhi is giving, see, if your buddhi decides that money is the success criteria in life, then all your efforts, your man will keep on seeking money everywhere, right? And senses will follow along. If your buddhi says, no, inner growth is the topmost priority in life, then you will look at every opportunity for inner growth. So, depending upon what knowledge you have empowered your buddhi with, will determine whether your buddhi is your friend or your enemy.
Okay.
Buddhi could be your enemy as well, right? If it is not empowered with right knowledge. Some people's buddhi tells them that, fame, power, money, or, whatever. I mean, some of the material stuff is the way to go in life. Then you think it's really helping them. It's not.
So it all depends on the situation as and where we are placed. Is that so?
It depends on the what kind of value system or the knowledge we have, value system we have built in our life based on the kind of knowledge we have really fed our intellect with.
So it's you mean to say it's interchangeable. Is that so?
What is
Depending
interchangeable?
Man and Buddhi.
No, they're not interchangeable. Buddhi will always make a decision.
Acha.
Buddhi will be the
Good
one,
or bad?
yeah, good or bad. Buddhi will make a decision. Your man cannot do anything without your buddhi sanctioning it. Man, it's like it has to, buddhi is the boss of your man. Okay. But we have put that boss to rest. Whatever man is saying, buddhi is saying, okay, go for it, go for it, go for it. We don't
So
challenge.
we have to make Buddhi more smarter
Yes, of
so
course,
that
that's
we
the whole
can.
idea.
Yeah,
See, when we spoke about Shreyas and Preyas in
yeah,
the
yeah.
segment,
Ji,
Shreyas and Preyas we spoke about. Preyas
ji,
is something immediately which is gratifying to us,
yeah,
right? Immediately.
yeah.
Now, how can we make it Shreyas? How can we tell our mind, no, I'm not going to go for extra ice cream, or I'm not going to go for short-term pleasure? You have to exercise your buddhi, right? That no, this is not good for me. Otherwise, man will always say, go for pleasurable things. What's the big deal? So buddhi has to be, we have the ability, but we don't exercise it often enough. When it is needed, see, your buddhi will tell you whom to get angry on and whom not to get angry on. People say, I don't have control over my anger. You shout back at your boss. We'll see, you will never do that. The anger will always flow top down
To
from
bottom, yeah.
somebody who's
Top
weaker
down.
to you, right?
True,
Because the
yeah.
buddhi is very smart. Buddhi knows this is where I can do this is where I cannot do it. So buddhi is
Ji.
giving decision to your mind, and then only it is mind is going forward with that particular action. And then senses follow along.
Got it. Thank you so much. Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
We have few hands raised. Should we take them, Nitinji?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me first give it to Sai Ramji. Go, Samranji. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Samir, and before you go, Abaji has asked a question. You have to conquer both. Correct? Yes, we have to conquer both. We have to conquer both. When we talk about surrender, God is asking, what do you surrender? He said, man and buddhi is what you need to surrender. So buddhi is the reason why we keep on repeating in this world. You know what? Because buddhi puts a but, lekin, however, every time in every life, it is not able to surrender so easily. It puts a question mark even in Guru's word, and we are not able to surrender. So buddhi is the reason, buddhi devi is the reason which makes us repeat in this world. Yes, we have to surrender both and we have to correct both. We can't trust our buddhi as well when it comes to when you have your buddhi is saying one thing, your Guru's word is saying something else. You have to go by Guru's word, not by your buddhi. Okay, now Samiran, go ahead. Sorry about that.
The governing part of the buddhi, is it also is there any part of doing that with the feminine, doing that with the gender? Because what I can relate is during our school days, like girls used to like be focused more on studies, and guys will like uh, roam around and have fun and they waste time. So, but feminine gender, they always take the right decision and be focused on the hard work and stuff like that. I don't know. I just reminded out of that.
I don't know. I don't want to open up a can of worms here because there'll be a lot of hands. coming in, regardless of what I am going to say, there'll be people who will counter it and then some will support it. I don't think it has any, but maybe there's a genetic makeup around part of it, but I don't think so there's anything related to that. It is more related to the kind of sanskars we have got in it, and maybe some part of it is conditioning as well, right? And that conditioning could happen depending upon the kind of body you acquire as well. So maybe a lot of factors are at play, but I won't stereotype it that certain gender has certain advantages or disadvantages, I would say, in that sense, right?
But generally, I have seen that the female, they take always the right decision, think always the right. We guys are
You think
always.
so? You think so? Yeah, that's good to know. Okay. Maybe you have always met right kind of people in that sense, right? So yeah, quite possible. But yeah, Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't say that in Buddhi Yoga, if you are born as a female, you have an advantage. So mind you guys, you wait for another birth when you become a girl and then you'll have an advantage. So Krishna has not mentioned that. It is gender agnostic, this whole message. So okay, nevertheless, let's move on. It looks like red and yellow is the theme today. Okay, anyways.
Go ahead, Sandhya.
Go ahead, Sandhya.
I just received a comment from Amrita Vaniji. Should I read it?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Sure.
She's saying what Samiranji is saying, it's the age making him think. Maybe when he'll grow older, he might think the other way around, maybe. But yeah, anyways.
Age, yeah, exactly. And maybe if you're married, you may have a different opinion altogether. Okay.
No comments.
Yeah, so my question was around like related to surrender aspect. So among intellect and mind, which is held responsible for free will?
Good question. Free will, I had asked this question to Swamiji. Free will is a symptom of soul,
Soul.
neither intellect nor mind.
But like we are executing it through these, right?
True. We are executing it. So what happens is, because the faculty that God has given us, the interface with the world is buddhi and mind. So free will gets executed based on the knowledge. See, our intellect holds a lot of, it's like a vessel where it's multiple knowledge, it's like a vessel where different kind of knowledge, they are stacked up, right? So whichever knowledge you activate at a particular point of time is going to have an influence on your free will at that point. But free will truly is, but that is why it's your responsibility to arm your intellect with right knowledge as well. But free will is a symptom of the soul, not of intellect or mind, technically. We'll put it as a quiz question. Okay, tomorrow we have, not tomorrow, this Thursday. So please do ask this question as well. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So free will is a symptom of the soul. Yeah. It's not coming. And that is why Swamiji in one of the SMX, he told very clearly that you have to, scold your mind. And then at times you may even have to scold your buddhi also, because your buddhi may not give you a right decision always. And why would you scold your buddhi? Because when it is not going against the injunction of the scriptures or what your guru is telling you. In those cases, you put your buddhi also to the back burner. Because our buddhi does not agree, that makes us repeat a lifetime after, and it takes us away from Sharanagati. So, yeah.
Okay. Before taking Madhushan, two comments are there. Let me read it quickly. One is if intellect can control one's mind, there will have no chance of wrongdoings by our mind. But people frequently commit crime. Why?
People frequently commit crime. Why? Yeah, because they go by the whims of their mind and let their intellect sleep. They justify it, right? Your buddhi will not give decision against itself. If you ask her, buddhi, am I wrong? Buddhi will say, of course not. How can you be wrong? You're the smartest person in this world. So even people who do that, they are kind of justified themselves in their head that it's how life is. Their value system would say this is how everybody fends for himself and they have a right to do whatever they are doing. So we try to justify things in our head, and probably that's what people who do those kind of acts also do, or they let their buddhi sleep. So when we are having an extra scoop of ice cream, do you think our buddhi, why don't we listen to our buddhi then? Because we are enjoying it, we want to indulge. We want to do things which are pleasurable. We want to go with what our mind is telling. And I think that's probably what people end up doing, and they don't activate their buddhi at that point. Or their buddhi might itself be giving them a wrong decision, right? A lot of people, like the other day, I was talking about that criminal who used to kill people in Bombay. And when he was asked, he said, God was inspiring me. Now his buddhi was telling he's doing the right thing. So sometimes you may have erroneous knowledge, which might be dictating some of your decision making in your buddhi also. Anything can happen. But ignorance is not a bliss. If your buddhi is leading your past astray, you still are responsible for it, because the soul has to carry that baggage as part of their karmic backlog. Okay, we'll give chance to somebody who's wearing red now.
Yes, Madhu Chandanji, go ahead, please.
Yes, Madhuji.
Radhe Radhe, everybody.
Radhe
Like
Radhe.
my question is was the same as Sandhya ji's, but again I need little bit clarification. So mind and intellect, that intellect is that I mean intellect is not superior. I thought that via knowledge one could operate through intellect and then make decisions in life. So if it is not, if the soul, after true knowledge, if the soul will should dictate our decision making or our life via the scriptural knowledge, like, I don't know, like how does it operate? I mean, is it like a direct connection?
No, soul is simply energizing it. Your intellect is making the decisions right now.
Okay.
Kathopanishad gives us this analogy of a rath, right? It's a chariot. Our body is like a chariot. The five horses are our senses. The reins to those five horses is our mind, right? The person, the charioteer who's dictating that is your intellect, right? And our soul is the passenger who's in that chariot. Now, the problem is horses are running, senses are running, the mind is running along with them, and charity, the buddhi is not being exercised. So when we reverse the cycle, and soul has to, bear the brunt of wherever the horses or whatever it is doing. Now, when the charioteer takes control and reins are managed properly, the horses will go in the direction where the charioteer wants. Right now, that is not happening. Right now, horses are taking wherever they want them, our body to take, because our senses are wild, our mind is following along, and intellect is not utilized as well. And the passenger, which is our soul, is asleep. Okay, so wherever the chariot is going, it's simply continuing to go there. So soul will wake up when we start aligning to this knowledge, and that's where it will energize charioteer in a manner that it starts controlling the horses in the right manner. So this is the whole idea about it. So we need to wake up.
And
Our soul is asleep right now. Yeah.
through knowledge.
Knowledge through bhakti, I would say. Knowledge is fine, but knowledge will become a realization only through devotion. You need God and Guru's grace for that knowledge to become wisdom.
So it will take time for somebody, can take different timings, periods of time to happen for every people.
True. Somebody might crawl, somebody may walk, somebody may jog, somebody may sprint, somebody will take an elevator, somebody will take a spacecraft. So it will vary for everybody depending upon the intensity and the discipline that they bring to this practice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Panchap has entered the room. Okay. The name itself is giving me warning signals. Okay.
Yeah, please do not admit. We're not willing to.
No, that's okay. You admit, but if any unwarranted comments are sent, then let's expel it, because we have already shared the rules around it, right? So if you see anything, troublesome, please, do. Okay.
Okay. So yes, go ahead, Tejasji. Thank you for
Tejas.
waiting.
Okay, so the ultimate goal is you would want your soul to guide the intellect to guide your mind, right? So so that's what is
Intellect.
the
For now, let's say intellect. Let's say intellect, because your soul is asleep, right? You can't wait for your soul to wake up. It will wake up in the process.
Exactly. But through the process of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, you are trying to empower your soul to guide the intellect, to in turn guide your mind, right? That is the ultimate goal.
Waking up the soul, the waking up the soul can be achieved in two ways. Gyan Mark says neti neti. You keep on eliminating what you are not, right? You're not this body. Then you contemplate, I'm not this mind. Then you contemplate, I'm not this intellect. And finally, you will come to the
Oh.
conclusion, I'm the soul. Okay,
Soul, I
that's one
see.
way of
Okay.
reaching there. Second way of
Nice.
awakening your soul is by aligning to its natural, constitutional position of that being a fragmental part. So when you
Of
serve,
the Paramatma.
when you serve, the soul is supposed to serve the whole. When you keep on serving, when you do seva and sadhana or bhakti, then automatically your soul will start, reclaiming its true nature and shining forth in that sense as well. So both ways are there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. We have Pratisha ji. Thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Yes, Pratusha.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, I wanted to say an example. When I was a child, I saw a cartoon where there was a cat and there were two angels, one black and one white, standing side by side. And then, telling, one is telling bad thing, one is telling, and the child is like getting confused. So I was thinking, like as I grew, we have one mind. Then where is this two coming from? And in our mind, we are always constantly having this battle between the good thought and a bad thought. So the mind also generates thoughts, and the intellect also generates thoughts, is what I understood later. And through scriptural kind of when I started reading, the way I had a solution for this thing was I always consider mind as emotions, which generates thoughts related to emotions, and intellect something tells whether, as sir said, a right thing, whether you want to go with this or that. No, this is true. So mind will always suggest emotions, thoughts related to emotions, desires, and intellect will tell, okay, whether, and if intellect has wrong knowledge, it will say, yeah, you can go ahead with whatever.
Yep, that's the whole
And
idea.
if intellect has right knowledge, it will tell you no.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir. That is.
So yes, the responsibility of making right decisions lies on our intellect, and responsibility of arming our intellect with the right knowledge lies on our free will. Okay, so this is where we need to exercise it or grasp that moment when we feel the spark and start arming it with the right kind of a knowledge. Okay, a knowledge which is coming from scriptures, which saints have said. And the best part of it is when you subscribe to that knowledge, when you practice that knowledge, you'll start seeing a difference in your life. If you get that, don't miss out on that boat ever, I would say. Keep on hanging on to it. Yes, Tarunji, good to see you after long.
Thank you, Nitinji. Bhagavad Gita, I think 3.42 has the exact verses on this. Indriyana paranyahu, indriyabhya paramana, mansastu parabuddhi, buddhi parasastu sa. Senses are higher than gross body. Then senses are like the जो हमारे input output ले रहे हैं वो senses के through हो रहा है. Then they give those to the मन. फिर मन उसको process कर रहा है. And then मन से भी ऊपर आ गया फिर हमारा the what we call is intellect. So intellect is the highest among senses, man and intellect. But as Pratusha ji I think just said, so it is soul's duty to empower the intellect with the correct knowledge. Until that is there, the framework will go wrong.
Yep. You need to correct that hierarchy. Very true. Great. Swati ji, you wanted to add something? Thank you, Tarun ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to add the.
Yeah, Swati ji, go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to add some other point because whatever I wanted to say, you already told that when we keep the right knowledge through scripture and guru, whatever they say, then our decision will be in the right direction. Then ultimately we will grow, take the right decision also. And then moon topic, somebody, Shyamji said, no, that what happens, why moon night is there. One lecture I have heard in Swamiji telling that moon is necessary because the plant, medicinal plant, they get that rasa, that juice at the night time. And if night is not there, then how that medicinal herbs will get that medicinal power?
Yeah, very true. And even the
So
kheer
that
that you
one
put
is-
that, right? That kheer also gets some qualities when you put it under the moonlight. So how
Yes.
do you get that? So Shyamji, you have not really thought through your problem statement. Okay, there's so many benefits of night and having a moon.
And even the birds and plants, the animals will not able to make out it is day or night. When will they sleep? Because we have the knowledge, we have the time, but they don't
Oh, I
have.
can
But as
question
the
why do we
sun
need
set,
to? No, I can even question why do we need to sleep? Why did make God make sleep, right? So there are a lot of questions we can ask him. Why did you make the cycle the way it is right now? But let's say night is needed for now. So yeah, let's rest it at
we
that.
need to rest also. Yeah, thank you, Radhika.
Thank you, Swatiji. So with that said, I wanted to remind you all of that the framework that Dhruvil had created about the Karam Yoga, the free will. How do we exercise the free will? Do check it out. He has created a beautiful thread out also on the portal, and put in your reflections. That way, those we can bring periodically on how you are implementing some of these concepts and how you're benefiting from it, and any reflections that you may have in the course of thinking over it or implementing it, or any other thoughts that you have. So the whole idea is to take this knowledge a little deeper, and the best way to do that is to, contemplate and look at the opportunities where we can practice it and then share it with others as well. So please do check it out. And if you have any reflections, we'd love to bring it in our Thursday session after the quiz. Yes, Sandhya.
A couple of questions. Let me just quickly read it, please. One is, does the intellect always go with or entertain, go away or entertain our ego? That is one question. Another one, can any other thing or entity sharpen or purify our intellect? Example, scriptures, satsang, surrender to Hari and Guru. Because intellect gradually gets purified and sharpened as we grow up. A child or a very young person's intellect may not guide or control his mind always.
Yeah, so man buddhi, they have been equated in our scriptures to a very old and a dirty cloth. So if our man or intellect, you could have a loose analogy. If you could see it, it would be a very, very old, because we are very old. We are technically the same age as God. So we are very old, spiritually speaking. And we have taken on the colors across lifetimes, multiple lifetimes. So from that sense, it's a very old and a dirty cloth. And anything that is dirty, if we have to clean it, what do? We put detergent, we put it in the washing machine and clean it, right? So similarly, we have to put something pure. If you put something tainted, it'll color it and dirty it further. So anything which is pure from us, if we understand, only thing that is pure in this world is God or a God realized saint. God has given some more things for us as Naam, Gun, Leela, Dam, and all that stuff, right? His paraphernalia, so to say. Only if you're putting your mind to that will it get cleansed. If you're putting your mind to anything else in this world, even though it may be sattvic, you are tainting it further. It's a very simple formula. That is why this concept of Nirantarta is very important. There's a reason for Nirantarta. Nirantarta means continuity. So when we keep on contemplating, let's say you do meditation, you're thinking about God. Yes, it got a little bit of cleaning happened, but then you again pumped it back into the world, then it'll dirty, it'll take on those colors. So if you want to cleanse your intellect, the only way to do that is through seva, satsang, sadhana, because that will take your mind to God. And the more you will take your mind to God, seva, guru, and these kind of things, kirtans, absorbing yourself, the more cleaning job will continue to happen. It's a very simple principle. And then the more importantly, you have to protect it from kusang too. Right? There was a guy who was making a rope made up of grass. So he was making it and he continued to make it. He continued to make it. And after a while, he checked the rope was still small. Why? Because although he had created a long rope, but there was a calf who was eating it as he was creating it. So you have to protect that part as well. Okay. So when you're cleaning it, make sure it is preserved. Otherwise, it's like the bath of an elephant, Kunjar Shachavat, they call it. Yeah, scriptures, it takes a bath and immediately puts dust on top of it. So this is how what was the second question? So this is cleaning of intellect. What was the other one? Ego. Ego is subtle for us, right? Ego will remain. But the point is you have to use your ego to work on your ego at this point. Put it in perspective, where to you utilize it and where to use it as a tool to work on your ego. And finally, that ego will also diminish. but it's the first thing to come and last thing to leave. So you have to work with this ego, on this ego with proper knowledge. Right? Don't let it rear its ugly head just for the sake of it. And it's like that thorn that you have to use to take off the other thorn. Use your ego to take off your ego, and then finally ego is gone. But it will take time. Ego is the last thing to go, but at least you can put your ego in perspective with proper scriptural knowledge. Okay. Now we are at 10, maybe. Are we good? Or maybe we can take one more question, then we do our chantings and then wrap up our session.
Go ahead, Sandeep.
Question in the chat from Dhruvilji. I think the distinction between intellect and soul feels challenging to me. How to see one as the soul versus seeing one as their intellect or mind.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I think the distinction between intellect and soul feels challenging to me.
Yeah.
How to see one as the soul versus seeing one as their intellect or mind.
Yeah, see, you can read your intellect also. What is the decision my buddhi is giving? Right? That means you are different. You can dissociate yourself with your buddhi as well. So there is a situation, and then you see what is your decision your buddhi is giving. That means you can even see your decision. That will just give you a sense you are different from your buddhi as well. Now that decision is stemming from your soul or buddhi, that is a little blurry lines. Don't ask me about that at this point, okay? But the fact that you can even observe your buddhi, my man is saying to do that, my buddhi is saying, no, I will not do that. So you can observe your buddhi. That means you are different from your buddhi. That will intuitively tell you.
But the observer of buddhi is not buddhi itself. Like how do you...
So how can you observe yourself? Buddhi is buddhi itself now.
Like we are thinking using our intellect, right?
Your
And
buddhi is giving a decision in a particular situation, right?
then we are questioning that decision also using that intellect.
No, but then on other hand, you can observe this is the natural decision that your buddhi gives. And then you may have a scriptural verdict or guru's word around that as well, right? So you can observe how your buddhi operates at times. And sometimes you end up judging people just like that, right? So that buddhi is giving a decision. You can dissociate yourself with that as well. Okay, maybe one more, and then we move to our devotional. Yes, Tejas, go ahead.
So buddhi is basically whatever thought comes to your mind, right? Intellect is the one that will rationalize it. Sorry.
True. Very true. Mind generates thoughts, and then buddhi can basically sees whether to energize it or not. Buddhi can take that decision. Your mind will throw thoughts, but your judgment is like, should I serve this thought or not? That buddhi can decide.
Yeah. So intellect is one level higher. So it is the one that is trying to decide it's right or wrong for you. And
Intellect
buddhi
is
is
the boss.
and buddhi is any random thought that is popping up in your mind is scary.
Buddhi and intellect are same. Buddhi is a Hindi word for intellect. Man and mind.
Man, sorry. My bad. Man. Yeah.
Buddhi is become buddhi, but we need to empower it with proper knowledge as well. Okay. Samiran, last one.
Yeah,
Okay. Boy girl question. Okay.
What is the difference between surrender and tyag? Because right now we are driven by the gunas and we are in a journey to give up all the gunas.
Tyag is sacrifice. Surrender is much deeper. Tyag is just sacrifice. Okay. Sacrifice is maybe one of the things that you would have to do as part of your surrender, but surrender is more holistic, not just limited to sacrifice alone.
So how do we do that? Tyag?
How do we do tyag? Tyag can be done in a lot of ways, right? You can go against your mind. That could be tyag. You could go against your wishes for the larger good. That could be tyag. And any sacrifice purifies, by the way. So gyan, tap, and there are three things that God says keep doing more of. I think sacrifice is one of that as well. But surrender is more holistic. It's much more than tyag alone. But we can discuss more if there are any more. Now let's get to our devotional segment. We can do a couple of chants. Maybe we have run out of time, and then wrap it up. I know we are getting a little. How can I know I really surrendered my intellect and mind? How do I surrender? Okay. Yashaswini ji, we'll tackle that question too. Not today, but in probably subsequent sessions. Okay, go ahead, please. We'll take two hands today.
राम नाम सब सत्य कहा, जब लो जात मसान। राधे राधे। लौटत ही पुनि जगत कहाँ, सत्य मान धनी ज्ञान। राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे। While going to the cremation ground for a funeral, the people in the procession proclaim that the name of God is the truth. But after returning from the funeral, they again consider the world to be the truth. Such is their ephemeral knowledge.
This is a good one. I have a story to tell you on this. Maybe one more hand will take, then I'll talk a little bit more and we'll wrap it up. Remaining hands will take tomorrow. One more hand we can take. Amrita,
I
one
will give it to Vinamra 7.
Vinamr 7. Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank
Rupa.
you. Radhe Radhe everyone. राम नाम सब सत्य कहो, जब लो जात मसान। राधे राधे। लौटत ही पुनि जगत कहाँ, सत्य मान धनि ज्ञान। राधे राधे। राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे.
Thank you. Please fill out the
Thank you.
feedback tracker, everyone. It's a very interesting, nice verse. So there was a guy who lost his son, and they were taking the funeral, and people were saying Ram Naam Satya hai, Ram Naam Satya hai, which basically means Ram is the only truth. And we do acknowledge it when somebody goes, right? Ram Naam Satya hai. And then what happens, when they go to the funeral, it comes out that he had an ND experience. So he wakes up and people were still chanting Ram Nam. He said, can you all shut up now? Okay, we don't want to say that anymore. So the point is Ram Nam Satya simply means Ram is the only name. But we think we associate it only with death. When somebody says, then only we say that. It is something which can be said anytime because that's a fact, that's a truth. So anyway, that was a story. So while this guy wakes up and they said, stop saying Ram Nam Satya, because Ram Nam Satya does not change regardless of whether somebody's awake or alive. And then we immediately come back to the world. It is called Shamshan Vairagya that we get, that life is like this only. Finally, we'll all end up like this. And it happens temporarily. And then we are again back to our worldly ways. And they say, bring it on with, get back to the life itself. Okay, so with that said, let's wrap up our session. We are a couple of minutes over. We will continue on this discussion tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please fill out the feedback tracker, provide your feedback, and do participate in your reflections regarding the exercise of free will and how you're benefiting from it, and share some of the anecdotes around that as well. So thank you. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day from my side.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, everyone.